Just over a week ago, 10,000 unmasked people stormed Trafalgar Square. You can imagine in the current climate how dangerous that could be for spreading the virus. There are more demonstrations like this to come, and they're organized by a group called Stop New Normal. In this video, you're going to find out who they are and why they are absolutely barking mad. So let's get into it. Hi Fact Finder, my name's Sermed and this is SMTV. The group Stop New Normal is led by someone whose brother you may know, named Piers Corbyn, brother of Jeremy Corbyn. Now, the leader got arrested after the recent demonstration that I mentioned, rightfully so, but was released on bail. I'm going to go through the speech that he gave just after he was released, just so that you can get a flavor of the type of thing that Stop New Normal are campaigning for. And we're going to really break it down to see what the substance is. I really want to promote, especially in this day and age, people looking at the facts and criticizing what they hear, because things are getting more and more muddled as time moves on and social media takes hold. So let's break this down. I'm going to show you just a few clips from the speech, and then we can go into what their meaning really is.
Hello, I'm Piers Corbyn. My arrest on the 5th of September and imprisonment overnight was, like all the virus psychological operation, not justifiable in any terms. We are not daunted. We are stronger now than ever, because in the long run we have the numbers to defend to the end all healthcare professionals victimised by the state for speaking the truth. And we now know that the virus story is a hoax. In these weeks, ignore fake news. The mainstream media will be battling daily to lie to the people.
Based on those clips, what do you think that Piers Corbyn is trying to say? What do all of those clips have in common, except for aggressive hand gestures? That's right. All of them are sending the underlying message that they are lying to us. Now, if you read between the lines of anyone who speaks in an academic way or scientific way, they usually have more of a message than just the same one repeating themselves. It's a classic political tactic that they use to say plenty without saying much. So he actually tries later on to adjust for this.
Both of these are available on stopnewnormal.net and other places. This is another one, very instructive. Put this through doors. We've got nothing to lose.
I want to look at this just in a little bit more detail, see what the source is. So the leaflet makes a few different claims here. First of all, there's no proof that the virus exists, and they have proof that there's no proof. Here is a picture of the SARS-CoV-2 virus published in Nature, which is one of the most credible scientific journals in the UK, if not worldwide, actually. If you contest this, then essentially you contest every major scientific discovery that there's been in the last century. And how you can contest that with a strong argument, I don't know, because if science were false, then we wouldn't have all of the progress that we've had, like the Industrial Revolution, all the machines that have been made, the dawn of transportation, modern medicine, even though there is a growing number of people who don't believe in modern medicine. So the COVID virus is real. We've seen it. We've got an electron microscope image of it. The second thing is the graph. The graph shows that when compared to Sweden, England really didn't do that well, even though we locked down and they didn't. and that means that lockdown isn't effective. Again, just because we have the solid facts from the numbers in the graph, it doesn't mean that the second point is true. Yes, those are the numbers, but the interpretation is wrong. And it's very easy to lose that if you get stuck into listening to what someone says. Again, it's a very common tactic called diversion. You slip in a non-fact with a fact to make it seem as though it's real when it's not. So let's go into that a little bit further. If you look at the numbers of new cases, which you can see here, you'll find that the cases were massively increasing when lockdown was started on the 23rd of March. We know that COVID has a 2-week incubation period at max. So any change that you're going to make should only really be seen 2 weeks after. So if we skip ahead to 2 weeks after, what happens to the number of new cases? It's still massive, but it's now stopped increasing. So what does that mean? That means that the lockdown must have had some effect, because 2 weeks after it was put in place, cases were level. Now, with a population of about 70 million, like we have in the UK, you would expect there to be a peak of more than 5,000 cases if we did nothing, which means that lockdown must have helped. That doesn't mean that it was the right thing to do, and I'm actually the first person to criticize government in their action, and I've made another video saying how things should have been done better and earlier. But that's not what Piers is saying. Piers is not criticizing them. He's saying that absolutely flat out they're lying, which is just not true. Sweden didn't do nothing either, and he fails to mention that on the leaflet. They started social distancing, they were wearing masks, and they were going out less, just without it being enforced by the state. So it's absolutely not the right conclusion to make from that graph. So that's the second point. The third point from there, he says that they defend the whistleblowers of the NHS, not all of the other people in the NHS, just the whistleblowers who agree with them. I have not seen where these whistleblowers are who agree that COVID isn't real, who've worked in the NHS. I've not read one paper which agrees with that fact. I've actually actively looked to try and find who these whistleblowers are, because I would be very surprised to hear anyone with a medical background, be it nurse, doctor, pharmacist, disagree that COVID exists in the first place. So again, it's unsubstantiated. So this claim that they're lying to us doesn't seem to be founded on much, at least in this speech. That leads us to our second point, which is, why would he keep stressing the same point, just using different words? What is he trying to do? And it's, again, a classic political strategy. So if you look here in this list of different political strategies, there's 3 main ones that he's using here. So one of them is unite and conquer. Basically, we're all together against this, and we need to be our enemy, which is the government, the employees who aren't whistleblowers in the NHS, and the unions.
Stand with our movement, or we all lose.
He's also saying that we need the nostalgia. That's the other strategy that he's using. We don't like change. And we've had to make a lot of changes with COVID. That's what makes the things that he's saying so attractive, because lots of people hate change. And it's much nicer to think that, oh, this change we can all avoid if we just open our eyes and see that we've been shackled by the government with their lies.
You have nothing to lose but the chains in your mind.
And the third strategy that he's using is the us versus them strategy. He says, we are the many, not the few.
We are the many and they are few.
But it's interesting how he says the mainstream media is lying. NHS, government, and the unions.
Quisling leaders of the trade unions have to be told they have betrayed the people, they've been tricked.
If they're all against you, how are you the many and not the few? That's a disconnect, and there are lots of disconnects. The other one is in the leaflets. It says that, oh, the big corporations are going to take over. But if you look into the YouTube comments of this video, you find that one of the top comments says that the government has its communist agenda, which is going to take over. Now, I'm no expert on politics, and I don't claim to be, but last time I checked, communism and ultra-capitalism are two different things. And actually, wasn't there a war somewhere in the past where the two of those were fighting each other for control? So wait, you're telling me that they're different things and they can't exist in the same society? Oh, maybe you are. Yes. See, again, it's a disconnect. There's no continuity in the logic. And that's another big sign that this is just a conspiracy group who have no substance to their argument. So that leads us on to our last point, which is really the true source, getting down to why this group exists. And take a look at this clip.
We want a civilised way of living again, not this isolation and nonsense.
Do you notice how, through the whole speech, he sticks to the script? You can tell it's scripted fully. A little bit of unscripted, true Piers Corbyn just came out there when he said, and all this nonsense. Okay? That is the core of why he's upset in the first place. You can see how this ideology comes out if you've got a mind that's slightly prone to conspiracy. Okay, let's say you're sitting at home having a cup of tea, watching 9/11conspiracytheories.com, which Piers probably was doing at the time of lockdown, and you think, wow, they're going to ask me to stay at home now. I don't want to stay at home. Why would they do that? That's nonsense. And then you think the first thing is they've taken my freedom away. Where's it gone? And then it's not really a far stretch to they've made this up to try and control us. And if you convince yourself of that, undeniably, then it's really easy to then convince others of that using the politics and the strategy that he is using in this speech. At no point did he have any facts or any evidence to back up what he was saying during that speech. And it really surprises me that this movement has grown as big as it has and continues to grow. So I thought I would make this video to try and tackle that, because there is nothing on YouTube at all which is countering this ideology, and we need to get this out there, spread the message so that we can try and avoid a second lockdown is the idea. We know how damaging the first one was, so the last thing we want is a second one. And if anything, these guys are bringing about a second lockdown by acting in the way that they are. So help me in subscribing, leaving a comment if you made it this far, because good job to you. That means you're really interested in trying to help. And share the video with your friends to spread the message and make sure that this does not spiral out of control, which is where it's going, unfortunately, right now. So I wish you a pleasant day and see you in the next video. Take care.